Not the carpet.
I'd like to welcome you to the Hi-Fi Wigwam Show 2022, one of my favourite days out on the audio calendar. Let me show you around. After a great breakfast at the hotel, the first room I stepped into was a DIY delight with homemade speakers, multi-band graphic equaliser and Crown power amps. A great setup. And then moving through, we've got room after room, around about 40 in total, where each exhibitor brings their own favourite audio system, and you're welcome to either listen to their music as you move from room to room or suggest your own tracks to play. Now, DSP is one thing that was a real feature of a lot of the systems here, digital signal processing and room correction, and it's great to see the innovative ways that different exhibitors have used this in their own systems. As we move through from room to room, I won't give you the full breakdown of all the setups, but they will be listed in a link in the video description. Apologies for my appearance in the mirror here. The speakers in particular were a great feature for me. Here we had a valve amp setup which gave a beautiful warm sound, and it was really nice actually hearing that a lot of my favourite tracks were playing as I went from room to room. There were some systems that really stood out, and for me it was nice to see some really unusual things. Here the Philips 1980s room was just incredible, and aside from listening on cassette, these active feedback monitors were incredible, absolutely amazing sound, volume, bass depth, and just wonderful to see such a lovely classic system. We had some more homemade setups, some stacked speakers, again with DSP, and it's really nice to hear how even the most inconvenient of hotel rooms can be used as the basis for really nice sound. It's good to see it in a lot of the rooms. There was a good selection of CDs and vinyl. A lot of people brought laptops with their music collections on. So even if you didn't bring your own music, you had a good choice to listen to. These wooden homemade horn speakers deserve special mention. An unusual, unique sound for the human voice, but for drums and percussion, absolutely amazing. Real sense of depth and drama. And it's nice to see we had some really unusual mixtures of systems, with super tweeters set on top of regular speakers, some of the very earliest Philips CD players. In fact, this one was actually for sale. One quirk of the show that makes me smile is the biggest systems always seem to be in the smallest rooms. One of my favourites are the 1980s and 90s Yamaha monitors. The sound of these is just incredible, and they're absolutely on my wish list. The big overwhelming memory I have of this show, as with all the other Hi-Fi Wigwam shows, is the friendliness and camaraderie of the setup. It's very much akin to being at a classic car show or a custom motorbike show, where everyone there has a shared love of the hobby that you're enjoying. A big thank you to Paul, aka Maverick, whose room can be seen here. He's the organiser of the show and has an incredible system. His Swiss W8 speakers that you see here are absolutely jaw-dropping. They are incredibly well made, the sound is so tight and precise. These are I think the absolute highlight of the show for me in terms of equipment. We had some great setups. It was really interesting to see a few audio compact cassette setups giving really nice sound. My memories of the 70s and 80s were of their poor performance, but it's really nice to see that a good cassette setup can really give you enjoyable music. We had a lot of vinyl and quite a few sort of custom speaker setups, and it was nice to have some unusual things, some computer servers set up and racks of separate power amps in some cases. So we had some really nice, well-spec'd and powerful systems giving some really good sound. As I mentioned at the start, please go down to the description of the video to get full details of the setup. An honourable mention here does have to go to these KEF reference Model 2 speakers. Now, if I had to go in and buy one set of speakers that I'd heard that day, I can say with confidence I think it would be these KEFs. The sound is just so neutral and pure that for me there was very little else that let me just enjoy the music to quite the same degree. However, we had some wonderful high-end systems. This Nottingham analog turntable, which is literally made from a log, and the accompanying valve amps gave a really nice refreshing sound, quite bright and cheerful and tuneful, so really pleasant. And it's nice to hear the different ways that people are enjoying their music. Some rooms were absolutely full on, you were hit with the strength of the music as soon as you came through the door, and others were quiet and peaceful. And it's really nice to actually enjoy music in the way that people around you are. And for me, this is one of the things that made the show really special, the Sony man. And he has a wonderful set of vintage Sony equipment, including this super sized loudspeaker with the square drivers. I understand that is the only one in Europe. He has the full matching Sony amp and source setup and the turntable, and again a smaller set of the square driver speakers. And here he is, immortalised in art. He brought that along with him, along with magazine articles. Thank you for joining me on the Whistle Stop Tour. If you're new to the channel, I'm Steve from Sounds Heavenly, and I have a vintage 1990s Bang & Olufsen setup. My day job is making the cables that connect B&O. So thank you for joining me at the Hi-Fi Wigwam Show. Please check out the video description.